Raised cup stitch is a fun way to embroider little three-dimensional flower designs. Here are some raised cup stitches that I made to embellish this fishtail. And in the center of each of these raised cup stitches, I added a French knot for even more of a decorative effect. So here's how to make a raised cup stitch. First, you have to either mark or imagine the 3 points of a triangle. So here are 3 dots that I have marked with my friction pen, and now I'm going to lay the foundation for the raised cup stitch by making straight stitches between these points of the triangle. So notice that when I'm going to make back stitches, and notice that when I do the back stitches, I'm using a stab stitch motion, because that will always give you a more precise stitch rather than using a sewing or a scooping motion. It's always better to use a stab stitch motion when you're doing something like this. Okay, so now I have a little triangle. That is the foundation of my raised cup stitch. Now to begin the first round, and there will be 2 rounds, I'm going to come up inside one of those points and pull through. Now I'm going to begin my first round. I'm going to work around this little triangle in a clockwise manner. And in each of these legs of the triangle, I will place 2 buttonhole stitches. So I'll place the first one in the first leg. Now I'm going to put my needle just under the thread, just under the leg of the triangle, not piercing through the fabric. So I'll come through here and make the first buttonhole stitch. Then after I make the stitch, I'm going to snug that up a little bit. You don't want to pull it really tight, but you don't want it just floppy either. So just snug up each of these buttonhole stitches after you work it. So now in that same leg, I'll make the second buttonhole stitch and just kind of organize that one with my thumb and snug that up. Now notice between these 2 buttonhole stitches, I have a little bridge, and that's important that you be able to find that little bridge between the 2 buttonhole stitches. Now I'll move around to the second leg, moving around the triangle clockwise. So now I'll put 2 buttonhole stitches in that second leg. Again, kind of organizing the stitch and snugging it up so the whole thing doesn't get too floppy. And then I'll put 1 more buttonhole stitch. Now I'll go around to the third leg of the triangle and make 2 buttonhole stitches in that leg. Okay, make sure that stitch is organized, and I'll kind of snug that up a little bit. Okay, so there is my first round. Some people have trouble with this stitch because they make their stitches too loose, and then the whole thing is just kind of flopping apart. Okay, so now to start the second round, and there are only 2 rounds, so we've done round 1. Now to do round 2, I'm going to make a buttonhole stitch in each one of these little bridges, and I'm going to continue going around clockwise. So I'm going to jump over here to this bridge between my first 2 buttonhole stitches and put my needle just underneath the bridge, not underneath the back stitch. So I'll make a buttonhole stitch in that bridge, move around to the next bridge, and sometimes you have to kind of separate these buttonhole stitches so that you can see the bridge in between them. So here, that was between 1 and 2. This is the bridge between 2 and 3 of your buttonhole stitches. Okay, so that's the second stitch of the second round. And this second round is also going to have 6 buttonhole stitches. Now I'll go around here and find that next bridge. As you work around, it can be tricky to find your little bridges, but they are there. So let's go around to find the next one. This is the 4th buttonhole stitch of this round. Okay, and then there's one more bridge. Okay, and that's right here. All right, so we've got all our bridges done, but that is only 5 stitches, and we need to make 6. So now we're going to find that little bridge where we went from round 1 to round 2, and that bridge is right here. Remember how we went over to the first bridge and we created that little bridge. So now I'm going to make one more buttonhole stitch right there, and I'm going to kind of get that stitch organized with my thumb, snug it up, and then to end the stitch, just bring your needle down, pull through, and now you have a nice little raised cup stitch.